We are thrust into the depths of despair in Red Dead Redemption 2, where Dutch van der Linde's gang is on edge. They are forced to flee into the icy mountains after a robbery goes wrong. The survivors are battling a blizzard to find shelter while some of the gang members are either dead or missing. Our main character, Arthur Morgan, demonstrates his leadership abilities by securing the group temporary shelter in a long-abandoned mining camp. Along the way, he is successful in rescuing John Marston, a group member who broke off after the Blackwater incident. The pivotal moment occurs when the group discovers an O'Driscoll's gang hideout. Not only do they succeed in eliminating them, but they also find out about a train robbery plan and save a young widow named Sadie Adler. By the gang's brazenness, Sadie is intrigued and decides to join them. The gang's charismatic leader, Dutch, sees an opening and decides to take control of the train robbery's plans. Leviticus Cornwall, a rich and influential business tycoon, is the owner of the in-question train. The heist is successful, but Dutch, Arthur, and the other members of the crew quickly learn that Cornwall is not the kind of person to accept being robbed. To find Dutch's gang, he hires the renowned Pinkerton Detective Agency. The risks are increasing and the stakes are getting higher. The rest of the group, including Arthur and Dutch, tries to live quietly close to the Valentine, a small town. Arthur tries his best to aid the gang as Dutch mulls his next course of action. To keep the gang's finances in good shape, he goes on hunting expeditions, saves Micah and Sean from the firing squad, plans another train robbery with John, and collects some debt. However, the calmness of mind passes quickly. Under Agent Miller's direction, the Pinkerton Detective Agency focuses on the gang. Miller tries to buy Arthur's loyalty to his comrades and allies by offering him bribes. But Arthur declines, upholding his sense of honor. But the group ends up robbing a bank after trying their luck too many times. A bitter death toll is tallied among Valentine's law enforcement agencies as the operation degenerates into a firefight. The group must leave Valentine's peace in the face of the aftermath and resume their journey while dodging the Pinkertons' ominous shadow, which grows more and more threatening. The gang approaches the Rhodes plantation town by way of the southern route this time. The Greys and the Braithwaites, two powerful families engaged in a bitter conflict, rule Rhodes. One or both families are allegedly keeping a gold cache hidden, according to long-running rumors. Dutch makes the decision to search for that treasure as he continues to look for the big shot who will enable him and his gang to live out their golden years. A bold plan to pit the two families against one another is hatched with the assistance of Hosea, Dutch's oldest friend and most reliable advisor. When the conflict between the families reaches its height, they plan to win over both sides and then flee with the gold. Even so, Arthur contributes to escalating the hostility between the two houses. Everything appears to be going according to plan for a while, and Dutch and Arthur are even named deputy sheriffs. But it turns out, bitterly, that they were the ones who were duped from the start. In the ensuing chaos, Catherine, the matriarch of the Braithwaite family, kidnaps Jack Marston, John's son, after the Greys set up an ambush that kills Sean, a prominent member of the gang. The Greys in Rhodes and the Braithwaites on their plantation are vanquished by Arthur and the crew, but Jack is missing. Knowing they would come looking for him at her house, Catherine Braithwaite moved Jack to St. Denis. Thus, in order to plan Jack's rescue and avoid the Pinkertons' increasing pressure, they are compelled to move once more, this time to a location closer to St. Denis. In St. Denis, an industrial city that is more up to date than any of the places they have been before, Arthur and his friends get caught up in the chaos and learn that Jack is in the custody of the notorious crime boss Angelo Bronte. They confront Bronte and successfully bargain Jack's release in a civilized manner. Little Marston got along surprisingly well with Papa Bronte and wasn't hurt. Bronte advises Dutch on a potential hit. It appears that the tram station is hiding a valuable treasure. To that, however, we'll return in a moment. Arthur attends a floating casino heist and meets Rains Fall, the leader of a Native American tribe being persecuted by the government, while Dutch plans his next heist with the same intention of earning enough money to ensure everyone a distant retirement. Tahiti seems to be the most popular option now. We'll talk more about Arthur's close relationship with Rains Fall later. It merits mention for the time being. The Pinkertons are still looking for Dutch, things aren't getting any better financially, and the O'Driscolls have found them and are attacking their new camp. Dutch decides to attack the tram station without a clear plan as he becomes more and more impatient, reckless, and desperate. Still committed to Dutch, Arthur decides to assist him. In the end, Bronte had misled them. At the tram stop, there is no money, and now that local law enforcement is also looking for them, there is an additional obstacle. A furious Dutch. Dutch decides to attack Bronte and then hit the Bank of St. Denis after the latter is taken out, despite Hosea's vehement objections. Being a city bank, the bank probably has a lot of cash on hand, but it also has a lot of employees. The assault on Bronte goes reasonably well, but Dutch becomes agitated. He brutally murders Bronte, shocking John and Arthur, and then, without giving it much thought, decides to attack the Bank of St. Denis, despite Arthur and Hosea's and their vehement objections. The attempted bank robbery is a complete failure. Lenny, a member of the gang that Dutch and Arthur were particularly fond of, as well as Hosea, Dutch's best friend and moral compass, are killed. Key gang members are forced into hiding after the police seize John. A boat becomes their haven as Arthur, Dutch, and Micah flee with the gold. The idea was to steal the gold and run away to Cuba, where one could hide out. After a while, one would return to collect the rest of the group and plan a trip to Tahiti or Australia to retire. However, a storm causes the boat to capsize, leaving Arthur, Dutch, and Micah stranded on Garma, a tiny island off the coast of Cuba. Fusser, a brutal dictator, is in control of the island of Garma. By enslaving and torturing the locals to make them work, he makes money from the sugar fields he owns on the island. Working together to free these oppressed people from Fusser's hold will be the only way for Arthur, Dutch, and Micah to leave the island. In the culmination of an epic battle involving actual warships, they kill Fusser in his compound after helping the locals and a rebel named Hercule. After their daring escape, they rejoin the rest of the group, who have set up camp close to St. Denis. However, the Pinkertons join them soon after they've settled into their new temporary residence, unleashing a powerful attack. The group is forced to leave once more. This time they move north to a mountain camp close to Annisburg, a mining town where Cornwall has substantial financial stakes. Before the chapter comes to a close, Arthur experiences a mysterious collapse that forces him to seek medical help. He learns that he has tuberculosis and that his life is in danger, particularly if he keeps putting himself in peril. Arthur's understanding of his life is fundamentally altered by this realization, which prepares the player for the game's most dramatic moments.
Thank you for tuning into Game Flash. If you enjoyed our content, hit that like button and subscribe to stay updated on all our latest releases. Don't hesitate to drop a comment with your thoughts and share the video with your friends. See you next time on Game Flash.